Well, welcome back to my channel. I appreciate you taking the time to tune in and watch my videos. Today it's about food plots and food sources for the white-tailed deer in my area. I get a lot of questions on HuntingFarmer. How many food plots do you plant? What do you plant? When do you plant them? And truth be told, I don't plant many food plots because I farm for a living. Although I have all the equipment available, I just don't take the time to do many. Maybe it's because I do farm for my job, and farming then for fun isn't quite as fun because I do it all the time, almost every day in some way, shape, or form out in the fields. But today I'll be discussing a little microplot that I did do here behind me. I'm going to show you what is a little bit unique, what I did to help improve this plot. I'll show you what I planted and the process I did to plant that. So stick around. So you might recall last winter, right before a big snowstorm, I was in this exact food plot and I was showing you my turnips and radishes. Some of the turnips and radishes were huge. They did exceptionally well down here in the bottom. But as we climbed this big hill here behind me, they did not do near as good. Now on video, I understand this hill, you just can't do it justice, but it is exceptionally steep. Because of that being on the side of the hill, the topsoil is very thin. A lot of rocks and just not much topsoil, and that adds up to a bad recipe if you're trying to grow a crop. So this summer I set out to improve this hill. I'm going to be putting a different crop in here this year, and actually you can see it's greening up and growing. I'm going to tell you how I did that. So now to address this problem, I wanted to add some topsoil to this hillside to try and make it better nutrients and better soil for the crops to grow. Now I'm lucky enough to have some equipment here in the farm that aided me in doing this. I have a big tub grinder meant to grind up round bales. I took some old junk round bales that I could not feed to the cows anymore just because they were rotten or they were spoiled or molded, and I ground them up earlier this summer, months ago. Along with them ground up bales, I added some soil to that, and I also added some fertilizer straight from my cows. Yes, I added some cow manure in there. And I just simply kept mixing that and made my own compost. Now that compost went through quite a heat and you had to keep stirring it, but adding that ground up hay, the soil, and that manure made for some really good topsoil or compost. Before I added that compost to this hillside, I wanted to come in and knock down all the weeds. I did that by hand with a weed eater just to take out anything that was growing or that had a head start. I personally don't use any sprays here on my food plot, so I wanted to knock back the weeds before I added that compost. So next it was time to add that compost. It is quite the hill here, but I have a skid loader and it made short work of spreading that compost all around on this hill. I kind of loosened up the dirt with a bucket also, and while adding that compost, made for a great seed bed and right ready for my seed. Now for a seed choice, I wanted something that was going to grow really quick and take hold here to try and lock that topsoil into this hillside. So I went with winter wheat. Here in the middle of August, I came back here with a spreader and spread on my winter wheat. And I added a mixture of alfalfa and clover in with that winter wheat. Now that winter wheat grows really quickly, and like I said, it takes hold, starts putting roots down, which aided me in getting some growth here before the rains had a chance to wash down that hillside. Once I got all my seeds spread out on my fresh compost, I did not pack it down or roll it or anything. I simply came back in with my big tub grinder and spread a layer of mulch all right over top of the seed. Now the table was set, I had my compost down, I had my seeds down, and I had it mulched. Now it was time for rain. Although August is one of the hottest, driest months here in Pennsylvania typically, this summer we had lots of heat, but we also had lots of moisture. We got rain shortly after I put the seeds in the mulch down, and they germinated almost immediately. Within days I had growth, and it's really taken off now. So my winter wheat, alfalfa, and clover mix should do real well. I have a cellular trail camera up here in the hill, and it's been picking up lots of deer have already been visiting this food plot. They really seem to enjoy it, and I hope they continue to stop here before they're heading out to the main ag fields. As you can see, I had this stand up behind me here, although it's not typically set up for an archery stand. It's a big box blind. I do some early muzzleloader hunting out of that stand. So I think this will be a great spot for the deer to stop in before they head out to the main ag fields, and hopefully I can take advantage of that here in just about a month's time. One last update before we finish this up, and that is some of the pruning that I did this spring. I have several different pear trees here, and these pear trees are actually located pretty close to that plot that I was just showing you. We had really bad locusts this year, and actually still hear probably some around me even in August here. I did my best to keep the locusts off these trees, but on some of the smaller trees, it seemed the smaller the seedling, the harder they were on them. They killed a lot of different branches. But as you can see, we still have quite a number of pears on here. I had purchased these pear trees just as seedlings from the Pennsylvania Game Commission quite a few years ago. And they're actually just wildlife pears. So I don't know what the specific brand is. There was quite a variety of different pear trees that I had. Although a number of these trees are absolutely loaded with these pears, they're definitely really small. So that's going to be it for today's video. We're going to wrap it up. I appreciate you tuning in and checking out what I did here on my food plot for that side hill to get better growth. I'm looking forward to this fall's hunting season and getting to take advantage of some of the work that I put into these areas here on my farm. So I hope you will join me too later this fall and follow along as I progress with my hunting season. It ought to be fun, good, bad, or ugly. It's always great to get into the outdoors. Well, I want to thank you for watching. We'll see you on the next video.